Yeah,
I think that's highly important.
And that'll show in your music too. Paying homage to me, my thing is what people might say is losing its soul. Now in the production, there's some changes to the sonic aspect of it, to where it's not as musical anymore, and that's across the board. It's not just hip hop. A lot of times I'm listening to pop and certain things, and I'm like, where's the notation? Where's the and it's a pattern. It's just like drum patterns and sounds. Well, in the 90s and even early 2000s, all different, styles of hip-hop from East Coast, West Coast, Southern. A lot of the production style was traditional with the traditional style of hip-hop. They were all making beats pretty much the same way. Somebody from Houston, Atlanta, New York, Cali, using the same equipment. They're using samples, adding a little synthesis, you know what I'm saying? But nowadays, it's just more like kicks, hi-hats, and snares, it's like snares, and not even so much 808s anymore, just some snares and hi-hats just going, and it's all good because I use them too. I love them. I love a good snare now, but it's like, it's just the overall, and I don't blame the artist so much as the machine that's delivering their influences to them. So I just think you gotta look harder now for music.
I think a lot of that though also is because there's such a lock on production now. So you have this very, very small community of producers or super producers that are producing everything across the board, multi-genre, and that community, that communal feel that music naturally has it's being transferred. It's not, it's in certain aspects of the industry. So certainly, within the communities as an artist, as a performer, but not necessarily on the back end as, the production team. And when you close doors like that, or you are refusing to open them, to newcomers or to just people with a different sound than you limit all of this goodness that is supposed to come. And we're supposed to have all these influences, and we just don't right now.
So it makes you think that hip hop is losing.
Yeah.
And I know an underground artist at one point in time that said that the music you're listening to when you're in your late teens and early 20s is what you're going to think is the best music that ever happened ever on earth. And when you get older, you become jaded and you say, and this doesn't happen in every case, but when you become older, you might look back and be like, they don't make it like they used to. That's the classic phrase.
That sounds like me.
But the thing is that you have to put yourself in the shoes of the youth sometime, because they're the ones that push it forward and keep it alive. And there's got to be a mutual exchange of respect. There.
Big difference from back then and now too. At least back then,
there is. My dad says it to me a lot. He'll be like, Bob Seger's playing, or like Boston, and he's like, I like this, and then I turn on it. I got my parents into Everlast. I got them into Atmosphere a little bit. Yeah. I got my mom, and if you guys heard of jazz, you love jazz, Gregory Porter, and I got him into that, and I got her into I think Charles Bradley a little bit, his newer stuff that he does, and then like my dad, like I'll play like some Father John Misty, and my parents like that as well. And I'm like, there's still like songwriting embedded. It's just like, for me with pop, with newer stuff, I'm very picky because like some of it for me, like there's no internal soul with like a true message getting across. Right. It's just kind of bland. It's like a lot of things, they make up their own credibility. They make up their own story instead of speaking from the heart or speaking what they've experienced. Because, when you go back to the 90s, think about West Coast, you got Biggie Smalls, you got Tupac, you got, I don't know if it's all West Coast, but...
Biggie's New York. Yeah.
Biggie's New York, yeah. Saying it wrong, but like NWA, it's...
There's a variety of sounds, regional sounds, and now it's just like somewhat one sound ruling across the board.
Yeah.
And that can be said. And I think there's a double-edged sword in that, because I think it's partly because of social media, because a lot of the younger kids growing up, there's this interview I heard with A$AP Ferg from A$AP Mob, and he's actually had a studio session with DJ Premier, a classic 90s. DJ Premier is one of the fathers of the New York 90s hip-hop sample sound. And Premier said to him, according to him, I just want you to rap. He was like, I don't want you to be all flashy, just rap. Do some of that real MC stuff, like really just rhyme. And he said that A$AP Ferg said he does have respect for the golden age, but he says that sometimes to him, since he grew up with it and grew up around it, it was kind of boring to make that too, because that era has already happened, and he wants to try to, and so he might gravitate towards a down south sound or a West Coast sound. And it's just people experimenting with different cultures and flavors, and social media kind of makes the world even smaller than it was to begin with. So I think that's why there might be a more uniform sound across the board. But I think that there are people out there still pushing the limits and boundaries on what music should be, or what a genre is, or whatever. Just like us, for instance, it's like we do have our roots in hip hop. It's Planet Boom Bap, but we're willing to. We're working on doing some Red Hot Chili Peppers songs in our set, stuff like that. So I mean, we're trying to broaden our horizons, and I'm down to do some experimental stuff too. It's just appreciating music, and I don't really turn away people based on what era they're from. But I can't say that there is. Even before the music, I appreciate, really honestly, the music before the era that I grew up more so than the music I listened to the era I grew up. I listened to that same type of music, something that had pain and a story to tell, and something that I could pop in and maybe, like Wu-Tang Clan, for instance. You could still decipher some of the things they're saying to this day. Yep. An album that came out 20 years ago, you can put it in, and you have aged, and the album has aged with you, and you're listening to it, and you're saying, wow, I look at that a whole different way now. And some music, like you said, the cookie cutter stuff, where it's like in the pop world, a lot of times it's just about algorithms more so than it is about just the heart and soul of it. What is going to sell. So it's like, to me, if you look at it like that, that takes the soul out of it, definitely. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But if you're just like trying to create something that's a lasting impression on somebody's life, then I think you gotta go to a deeper place. I'm ranting too much. I'm sorry.
But you can certainly tell, kind of bringing it back a little bit. But I mean, with the soul, I mean, yeah, a lot of newer artists, they have it, and you can tell. I mean, and it's really with social media, with it is kind of a double-edged sword. It makes the world smaller in a sense, but also it gets that one person out from their small pond into a larger ocean, so you can experience them, and certainly with everybody, going viral and things like that, we'll be able to tell who really had some soul, who really had a message, who really wanted to do this because they had a story to tell, or even if it wasn't their story to tell, they felt it enough when they performed it that you felt something as the consumer, as the listener. And there's still, there are young cats like that. There are older cats like that, because there are older cats who, in the golden age, who were making music just to make music. So that kind of soullessness transcends genres. It transcends decades and times. So. But what always lasts, and what will always last, will be those people, whatever the sound looks like, sounds like to us. If they did it with some heart and some feeling, it will shine through and it will last.
Right. If they put their soul into it and not sell it.
Yeah, to me, I think, like I said before, I think soul, to me, the definition of soul is pain, and that's not necessarily a negative thing. It can be the pain of your children growing up and you miss them being young, and that can inspire you to write.
Spoken like a patriarch. Oh, Mark.
All right, well, we have Planet Boom Bap in the studio. We'll take a little break with some more tunes. You're listening to the Nightly Special on WCRD 91.3 FM, always better. And here on the Nightly Special, you form a unity, jumpstart a better community, and as always, make your 1% count. Up next, we have Jessica Albatross with Mothers and Daughters, Edges and Curves with From Colors to Shades, and Serdeja Doog with Stereo Love, here on the Nightly Special.
Hey, I like that.
Mic's on. All right. That was Bye Bye with the Whale song here on the Nightly Special, where you form a unity to jumpstart a better community and, as always, make your 1% count. So we're going to get a little important topic to talk about. I haven't really decided what I want to do, so I'm just going to pull up the top of my head. And I feel like what I'm about to say is going to work well for you guys. Imaging is always important, whether as an individual or as a band. And what do you think are the pros and cons of creating an image for yourself?
Be recognizable, for one thing. I mean, well, that's pretty much the main thing. It's like, if you want someone to remember you, there's got to be a concrete thing that they're going to remember you by. And it's important to be in control of whatever that thing is, or to the best of your ability.
Definitely.
And I think, like, you could say, like, it's the whole thing that we're doing with the spacey thing. That was actually started from affiliation with organization that had some overtones and of space and aliens and stuff. You could say, or Scientology maybe, or or better yet, being a fan of sci-fi, like classic sci-fi.
There you go.
Like,
I am. I'm a big space head.
Star Wars, Star Trek, and stuff like that. And it's like you just
Anime.
like our image on our T-shirts is like a throwback image. It's like a pixelated, digitized, like 8-bit image, and it's just that's the image we're presenting is of a throwback, and we're trying to aim for that classic, genuine classic feel, something that stays with you, like a old song that you, when you hear it on the radio, it just brings back good memories. That's the vibe we want to come with the Planet Boom Bap. And some of that classic sci-fi came from that time too, so that kind of ties in with it, as far as Star Trek, Star Wars. I even mentioned a more obscure movie, The Last Starfighter, in one of our songs, Starscream. And even songs called Starscream, that's like Transformers, the 80s stuff. It all ties in. But I think with image is really important, but I think there has to be a balance between the content of your music, the drive and handling your business correctly, and also your image. I think all those things need to be balanced. And some people have a little bit more than the other, but we want to make our content strong and complex, and we want to make our image to be sound, solid, and fun is the main thing. Like right now, what I'm doing with this music, with my band and my people, in this group with me, is fun to me. I have a good time when I go out with them and we perform. And I think that you can't let that go. That's what's going to make it something that you want to continue doing. Is that you don't want to have a side job or work all week or deal with life struggles and problems and then have this be another issue like working with the band. Don't get me wrong, there is turmoil and conflict from time to time, but it's nothing that can't be solved. And it's little basic stress stuff. But the payoff is better because I think I can speak for everybody in this band that we have a great time when we're out hanging out with each other and performing.
Yeah.
And
No, I'm just playing.
We can hang out.
I love you guys.
Pause.
I think I echo what Zach and Mark have said. Doubly kind of to what Zach said. I think ultimately branding and stuff like that, it comes down to the control that you have over your imaging and branding because yes, while it makes you recognizable, you kind of want to stand out. You want people to remember you. You want to be consistent. It's very easy to fall into the trap of being, for lack of a better word right now, like typecast, in the same way that actors do,
Thirst trap.
Oh yeah, that's you, thirst trap. He thirst trapped like a mug too. You don't want to fall into that. You don't want to fall into that either of being just known for this one thing, and then if you want to do something else, if you want to branch out, if you want to evolve as an artist at all, or just as a person, too heavy branding or too strict, branding, especially ones that you don't control, because often we don't control them. It takes a toll often at your detriment. So you want to be flexible, but and I have that kind of control, so you don't see the dark side.
I feel like that echoes what you were saying earlier about, like Burke was saying, like algorithm music, and I feel like a lot of the thing that sucks the soul out of that is trying so hard to make your brand a certain thing, and I guess trying to control it too much.
Well, because it'll hit the ceiling, and then you have nowhere else to go. Even just like that. Because, like, I love pop music, or at least 90s pop. Be it BSB, NSYNC, I love them.
I feel
but
you on
yes,
that.
but I mean, after the 2 albums, I mean, you have to look at the careers of, and, probably what will happen with Fifth Harmony and things like that. They'll evolve so much because it's still within their wheelhouse of who they are and how they have been branded. And then, just like the boy bands of old, they'll release a couple albums, and then that'll be it, because there's nowhere else for them to go in terms of branding and who they are, what that image is, that collective image.
I think that when you look at more underground and independent artists, it's more organic, and a lot of the groups that were formed and put together and honed and practiced and whipped into shape and put out there for to dance in front of everybody aren't really don't have staying power, because they might not be as organic or as natural as independent underground artists that united for the sake of the cause of how the music sounds and how it feels to make the music. So I think that's the most important thing, is like I said, the whole thing about playing a boom bap, Please Listen, as navigators explore the blend of original music, beats, and poetry, is us being the navigators, traveling through the universe and learning how to communicate through the universal language of music. And that means any genre, any style, any artist, any skin color, any religion. As long as the vibes can make you move, or you listen to it and makes your ear perk up, then I think that it's worthwhile and worth a listen. So when you look at music like that, the importance of the marketing machine behind it ceases to exist in the perspective of the listener.
Word. My sound is my brand. I actually had someone tell me that once, that they came to a couple of my solo shows, and they said that every time that I performed, no matter if it was 2 people or 2,000 people, that they were like, you gave 110%, even for those 2 people. You made them feel like, you made them feel just as important. And for me, that is like to kind of what you were saying, like that's very organic. That's just who, how you are performing, what you give to your audience, people who love you and who are fans of your work. I think that should, I agree that should be what is that lasting connection with them, and how they know who you are.
I have people listen to the show. My favorite quote from a listener who was listening said, the host is pleasantly dorky. And that's what they told me, and I just lost it, and I'm like that's 100% true. And then I'm also a writer. I do spoken word, and I had a kid come up to me first time getting into the music scene. He's 18, just graduated high school, and he's like, Hal? I'm like, yeah, Allen Ginsberg's, the movie, they did with James Franco, and I'm like, yeah. He's like, I thought I was in that, and I'm like, well, cool, man, like, thanks. I get like all like energetic, and I have like these very weird aesthetic like analogies I do things, and it's just always nice to be branded by someone that like you never thought of yourself would coexist. Like, I'm actually on that level with somebody. That's kind of cool.
That's a great point that you hit, because I remember some of my music before playing at Boom Bap was more had a darker edge to it, and somebody had approached me and given me a genre title to my form of music. That's one thing I read in the book, is that creating your own genres. But the point that you made about somebody else observing you and saying, hey, you know what this is, this sounds like, or this reminds me of, that's a great way to brand yourself. And that's also organic. A fan actually saying, look, this is what it sounds like to me. And sometimes, as an independent artist, that will help you greatly. I think one of the flaws that people have in art is calling themselves versatile, even if they are versatile, because then you're not giving anybody an idea of what you sound like. It's like, I'm versatile, I can do anything. Well, that leaves just a blank spot in your head. Like, okay, well, what do you do? What are you good at? If I say I sound like a mix between Dolly Parton and Cypress Hill, then they're gonna be like, "What? Wait a second. What's up with that?" Like,
I'd like to hear that.
I was like, that might be kind of dope, though.
that'd be interesting to hear.
It's being done somewhere, but
like put 9 to 5 up under a dope beat. Working 9 to 5.
Somebody already did. In like the mid 2000s, somebody took this song.
9 to 5.
Yeah. But maybe we can do it again.
All right, so you guys got some upcoming shows this week.
Yes. all this weekend. It's a busy weekend for us. I'm thinking about maybe a studio session on Sunday too, but we have a show in Indianapolis and a show in Chesterfield. The show in Indianapolis just came out of nowhere, and it's in a really nice venue. Am I allowed to say the venue?
You can say the venue.
Okay.
Yeah. You're good.
The venue is Birdie's Bar and Grill. It's a really, really nice venue. I performed there years ago. But it's the lighting, the sound, the stage, the size of the venue. It's a nice venue. I just like it.
And that's in Fountain Square, isn't it?
It's on 71st, so not Town Square. Yeah.
It's more north.
It's going towards the Castleton area.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's
But it is
a
nice. Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna go up in there and I'm gonna have a good time.
Fountain Square is dope though. We've been to Fountain Squares. I love Fountain Square.
And then Monty's Lounge in Chesterfield.
I mean, that's right there by.
And the show and the Monty's Lounge show is free. So if you are having a few financial difficulties, it happens. Check us out at Monty's.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was a free show.
All right. So
everybody needs to come out there.
also this week we got other events going on tonight. Be Here Now. 2 really cool Nashville bands are playing. You got Ark and Stones and France and the Foundation playing to Be Here Now. Really cool show. Check it out if you get a chance. Also this week at the Emerson Theater, you got Fallout Fest, which a band Indian Old School, which has been featured on the show here. They're playing there. Also here in Muncie at Elm Street Brewing, you got Mike Martin playing. Then also this week in Indy at Taps Live, you have Bye Bye playing there with Flaccid. Then the show, as we said at Birdie's, is Dylan Hensley and Planet Boom Bap at Birdie's.
Shout out
Then,
to Dylan.
then at Be Here Now, we have Hero Jr., Tessin, and Coda. And then you have Fire and Brimstone Pizza Company and Elm Street Brewery, having little pizza dinners type things. Then at the Hoosier Dome, got Barricades, Cold Shoulder, and Lockjaw. Then VGR's got a show with Spiral and Trap, Girl Colors, Dope Sweater.
This is Musicville.
Then Elm Street Brewery in Muncie again has a show with Annette Miller. Then there's a show at the Burdock House with Achilles Tenderloin, W.D. Benjamin, and Dean Moore playing. Then another show at Be Here Now. Got Robin Goodfellow, Scuba Diver, Marvin the Robot. Then again, Planet Boom Bap, Dylan Hensley at Monty's Lounge, and those are the lineup for shows this week.
We have a show coming up at Burdick House. We played there last year and got invited to do
Oh, it's a great venue.
I love that place. Eating tacos by the fire.
Oh, they have tacos at this place?
Well, she made them last
I
time.
like tacos.
I had like
We're
a whole bunch of
actually
them. I had to put
going to be shooting a music
My
video
goodness.
or a scene from a music video there at Burdick House.
food down because I know it's time for us to perform.
All right, well,
And I laid on the hammock. I mean, they're swinging hammock.
He laid on the hammock.
we're getting a little close to ending time here on the nightly special. I just want to say big thanks for you guys coming out tonight. Thank you so much, Planet Boom Bap, for being in the studio.
Right on for having me.
Yes, thank you.
Shout out, Go Ball, Stay Football.
2-1 right now, 2-1.
Nightly special.
All right, well, again, this is Nightly Special. We form a uni, jumpstart a better community, and as always, make your 1% count. Up next for music, I have Anita with Television Takeover, Gape with Wasp Song, and Beyond the Grid with Poisoned Views here on the Nightly Special. All right. We are back to the Nightly Special. I hope you guys had a wonderful night. I know I did. It was a really fun time here in the Nightly Special with Planet Boom Bap. We had a great talk about branding image, branding yourself. Awesome killer live performance by the guys. Again, the Planet Boom Bap was in the studio. They're the interstellar hip-hop sounds of Planet Boom Bap. Again, you've been listening to Nightly Special. We're going to end it for the night, guys. Hope you late night owls are staying up. Be safe. Again, always remember to form a unity to jumpstart a better community. And as always, make your 1% count. To end the night, I have Dope Sweater with the song Emergo and Club Yeti with Benghazi here on the Nightly Special.